Hey folks, it's the Kilt-Man with no name. How y'all doing?
I don't think it's funny you laughing. See, my hat gets the idea you're laughing at him. No, if you all apologize like I know you're going to, then we can just get on with this goddamn video.
Hey folks. Right, here we go. As the title suggests, we are now hitting part 2 of Kilt-Man's spectacular tour through the musical tapestry of the spaghetti westerns, forged by Sergio Leone and of course composer maestro Ennio Morricone. Ennio Morricone. Not easy, you know. Not easy doing these things. I'm just going to turn this fantastic music down for a second. 1967 saw the second of Sergio Leone's magnificent Clint Eastwood Dollars Trilogy. We'd had the 1964 A Fistful of Dollars, which broke the mould, destroyed and rebuilt the idea of the Western, totally eradicated the Hollywood ideals of the good guys, the bad guys, and righting wrongs and morals. Forget all that. Good guys are bad guys. Bad guys, everyone's bad. And the second one, it's not really a sequel because, as I said before, okay, the unifying thing is Clint Eastwood as the man with no name, but he's not playing the same guy in each movie. He may as well be. His ideas, his modus operandi are just the same, but conversely as well, he's not a man with no name. In A Fistful of Dollars, he's Joe. In this, he's Manco, and in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, he's Blondie. So he has names in all 3 movies. Now, Manco in this is roughly translated from the Spanish as being, now someone might correct me on this, as being one-handed. Hence this. Now, in the film, because he's a bounty hunter and he's also a gunslinger, he wears the gunslinger's gauntlet. I know, they didn't always wear that, but Clint does in this one. Manco has a sort of leather gauntlet, which is obviously anchors his hand, his gun hand. And the film was originally called The Bounty Killers because Clint and Lee Van Cleef, who's that lean, aquiline, forged in stone face of his, and those glittery sort of not ivory, but sort of flinty, steel, cobalt sort of eyes, which is just piercing. Leone had seen him in numerous westerns where he always played a villain. Didn't always have a speaking part, but he thought, I want that face. So he even went over to America and found Lee Van Cleef and brought him back. You've got to be in this movie. And of course, Van Cleef would then go into The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly as well. Also returning from the original movie, Fistful of Dollars, is Jean-Marie Valente, who played Ramon, the psychopathic, Mexican bandit warlord in A Fistful of Dollars. Here he plays a psychopathic Mexican warlord called Indio. And Indio smokes marijuana in another groundbreaking moment for cinema, because I don't think that mainstream cinema had shown anyone smoking marijuana up until this point. And it has a strange effect on him. He has kind of psychopathic flashbacks to this hideous crime he committed where he kills a man and rapes a woman who then kills herself, which clearly traumatises him, the fact that she took her own life whilst lying beneath him. And it's plagued him. Pocket watches play a huge part in this. Indio has a pocket watch with a picture of the girl that killed herself, and it plays these chimes, these beautiful hypnotic chimes. And once his gang's springing from prison, which they do, killing everybody, pretty much everybody in there as well, Indio even kills his cellmate who looks up to him, and he goes, sorry, bye-bye, kills him as well, because he's a fucking ruthless bastard. That's why. No other reason is given. So he then and his gang want to rob the bank at, old El Paso. Enter the 2 bounty hunters who don't know each other at first. You've got Manco, Clint, and you've got Lee Van Cleef's Colonel Mortimer, a man of honour, a man of code, obviously a war veteran, hence Colonel. Now he has, and I'm not going to discuss the entire movie. If you know from the previous part 1 of this, it's mainly the music I'm going to be discussing, but with key elements from the film thrown in as well. And Colonel Mortimer has a very sort of direct and personal reason for hunting down Indio, because The guy that was killed and the woman that killed herself, the woman was Colonel Mortimer's sister. The guy was obviously his brother-in-law. And Indio, committed this atrocity. So he definitely wants to get Indio. Now, they have different ways of doing this because they're both they start off as rivals, the two bounty hunters. But really speaking, they after a spectacularly sort of stupid but yet brilliant moment, they have a midnight duel out on the streets where they both shoot each other's hats off the heads, and then in a spectacular show of marksmanship, the hats are still spinning in the air and they're still shooting them. And ridiculous sort of sound effects because although it's comedy. Sergio Leone always put in a bit of comedy. It could be ironic comedy, blackly humorous, gallows humour, but it is comedy nonetheless. And as each bullet hits the hat, you hear it. What are the hats made out of? Fucking metal. Why are you getting metallic ricochets? But doesn't matter. It's a great sequence. And the two of them begrudgingly learn that, hang on, okay, maybe we can work together on this. Clint's the younger, more reckless, renegade sort of guy with his own sort of way of doing things, where you've got the more pragmatic, the older master, who's going to sort of take Clint under his wing and become sort of fatherly figure to him. How you doing, young man? Having trouble with your adding up there, boy? No, old man, and all this kind of stuff. The banter between the two of them works superbly. Clint will inveigle his way inside the gang and try to be working with them. From the outside, Colonel Mortimer is going to try to trap them as well. But it all goes tits up. And as I said before, in pretty much all of Clint's most iconic movies, his characters take a severe beating. They get taken to the brink of death and then they have to come back and be reborn. And in this film, both Manco and Colonel Mortimer, they find the gold that's been robbed and they're going to try and take that away, but they get caught in the act, and the whole gang laughing, in this evil, cackling, sort of sinister way, this psychotic fashion, kick the shite out of these two guys. And then, because Indio wants to prove just how much of a psycho he really is, because he doesn't want to share all the loot with all his gang, he lets them go. Huh? Why? So he can blame one of his gang members and get him killed. Plus, he can also have a murder committed. He sets up one of his gang members who's supposed to have committed a murder on another gang member, but they really didn't do it. And it's just a way of whittling down the gang members so he doesn't have as much money to share out. Crazy. As the film progresses, Indio becomes more and more unbalanced. And Jean-Marie Volante's performance is absolutely through the roof. It's operatic. He was a stage actor and he gave big performances. It's well known that Leone would put the guy through hell, take after take after take. Not quite in Kubrickian standards, but he would make the poor guy do his lines over and over and over again. And the reason for it is each time he did it again, his performance, he was more tired. It would lessen his performance and bring him down. He's still stratospherically over the top, but he's ideal. I love this guy, and this is the best he ever was in this film as Indio. Even though Indio sort of goes through this ridiculous sort of, he kind of becomes aimless. After halfway through, you kind of realise, look, he ain't going anywhere. There's going to be the inevitable showdown, which has to happen. Obviously, Colonel Mortimer needs to have his revenge. And what happens is, Indio just completely loses his marbles. Again, marijuana doesn't have that effect on people, but, in the film, it kind of gives him, sort of a reefer madness, kind of effect. And he just becomes more and more unhinged. Anyway, you've got the great Luigi Pistilli as well, who plays one of his most trusted, lieutenants. And he's magnificent. He would again go on to be in The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. It's funny how Leone did this. So you have two guys returning from Fistful of Dollars, then you have two guys returning from this to Good, the Bad and the Ugly. And it's just a transition. It's a carryover. It's passing the baton on. They're all playing different people, but it's just brilliantly done. Luigi Pistilli actually plays a priest in Good, the Bad and the Ugly. Vastly different from his role in this as a rugged bandido. But yeah, so Ennio Morricone returns to score for a few dollars more. And he was outrageously creative and inventive in the first movie, bringing the human voice in, harmonicas, guitars, Fender Stratocaster, pounding rhythms, crazed vocalizations, and it worked a treat. It broke the mold. As Leone is more in command of what he's doing, so is Morricone. And the two of them, their symbiotic relationship really is just, it's completely faultless here. It would go on to even greater levels with the good, the bad, the good, the bad, the bad and the ugly, But you can see the transition from Fistful to A Few Dollars More. Definitely, they are much more in command of their powers, and at the height, almost at the height of their powers. So in this, let's play the main theme. Now again, it's certainly of the same family as Fistful of Dollars. You've got the crazy sort of, human voices. You've got the crazy syncopation with the rhythms and the beats and the little leitmotifs. Let's get on to it. Let's turn the music up a little bit. Jaw harp. Whistling. Whisky. And again, the title sequence had great animation as well, because the words with like cigar smoke, the lyrics, the credits would come up out of the smoke, like float around the screen, and then an unseen marksman would shoot the words out of the screen. It's very clever. Again, mimicking Bond, the Bond title sequences. The vocals this time are incomprehensible. They don't matter. So you've got that one-man band style again. Cymbals, knee clackers, harmonica, big bass drum. Boom, bunch, boom, boom, boom. These little elements that creep in, just punctuate it with vitality. Like Fistful, it rises, it gets bigger, stronger, bolder. That theme, far more, emphatic, and all those little elements creep in. So there's more of them, all attacking that main theme from each side, like a musical ambush. All comes together so sweetly. Isn't it great? You will hear that theme throughout the movie a lot. But this film is, of course, celebrated for the magnificence of the elements of the watch chimes. Now, both Indio and Colonel Mortimer have these watches, but you don't know that there's two watches until the end of the film, when they have the final duel. And the thing about Leone's duels, he likes to have three men within a circular arena. And the circular arenas, it stems from bullfighting days, that kind of arena. So, but you'd have sort of a triangle within a circle. This and Good, the Bad, and the Ugly both feature that element spectacularly well. After most of the gang's been wiped out, Indio then faces Colonel Mortimer. And he shoots the gun out of Colonel Mortimer's hand, so it's lying on the ground. I think it's a buntline special. So it's got a detachable stock, even though it's a pistol. He can use it like a rifle. It's quite clever. And he's got his own pocket watch, and the chimes. His mantra is, "When the chimes end, Colonel, try and shoot me. Just try." So in other words, Mortimer's got to go for the gun. But of course, Indio's got him. Indio wears a gun slung around his neck sometimes. It's quite clever, you know, the way they do it. I love it. Let's just get into these watch chimes. All right, let's go. Let's find one of the best ones. It's such a haunting lullaby. Beautiful, tragic. Morricone brings in a church organ. He brings in the orchestra to really raise this level of tension and emotion. Just listen to that. Earlier on, we've seen Indio kill a guy that set him up, a guy that betrayed him. And he has the poor man's wife and toddler, which is actually Sergio Leone's daughter, taken out and executed. And the guy hears that, and he's doing it on purpose to make this guy have a duel with him in front of all his gang members. And he plays that tune, and the chimes end, you know, try and shoot me, and of course he kills him, right? But in that version, because they're in a church, they're actually in a Mexican church. Let's find that bit. I think it's this. And it's heartbreaking to watch. And it's great performances as well. Obviously, like Jean-Marie Volante is OTT. He's almost a pantomime villain, but it's psychopathic. How wonderful is that? They're in a church. Indio even gives a sermon from the pulpit, kind of, where he outlines his plan for this bank robbery. Spaghetti westerns always turn Catholicism upon its head. They shoot holes, you know, in the faith. Boom! Isn't it brilliant? Isn't it so powerful? Here's some of like, this is Indio's psychosis. And it got something all light, you know, his spliff. And then he'll go into this sort of like hazy recollection of the murder, the double murder. Well, one murder and one suicide, but a murder, a rape and a suicide, all in the same scene. Clint doesn't smoke cigars that big, by the way. He smokes cheroots, cigarillos. But yeah, Morricone, that's icy. It's inside your head. That is like twisted synapses and, you know, twisted nerves, if, you know, that sort of thing, you know. Popping and sizzling inside a fevered brain. Now again, Morricone didn't score the film to the imagery. I think he actually did see some imagery from this one. He was able to. I mentioned Mickey Mousing last time. You know, where a composer will write music that actually it punctuates what you see on screen. So a bit of action there. It'll run alongside the actors. Something hits someone on the head. You get a twang on the soundtrack. He does do a bit here because. You've got the great Klaus Kinski as well. German actor Klaus Kinski. Another fucking nutcase playing the Hunchback. And he will have a match struck on his hump. With a wow effect as well. Like, you know what I was saying about like striking matches in the previous video? I was saying they can always strike a match on the rock and it just lights immediately. When in reality it just snaps the fucking matchstick. Well, you can light it on someone's hump now in this movie. Brilliant, brilliant. Now let's go on to the watch chimes at the end, the way it happens at the end, because that final duel, the way it takes place, Indio faces off against Colonel Mortimer, but we know that Manco is around there too, and when the chimes end, Colonel, try and shoot me, just try. So when the chimes end, he's about to go for his gun, and all of a sudden the chimes start again, and everyone sort of looks to the side, and what it is, Clint Manco has taken the pocket watch off Colonel Mortimer, and he's playing the chimes again. Listen to this ecclesiastical bent here, and it's playing the theme, but on church organ. Isn't it just spellbinding? And he's got a Winchester on Indio. Look, no, you're going to do this fight fairly. When the chimes end this time, you're going to fucking do it properly, no cheating. So he gives Colonel Mortimer his own gun, his gun belt, so the two of them have got a good fighting chance. It's fair. And obviously, Colonel Mortimer's going to exact his revenge and blow Indio away. But Lee Van Cleef has a face which, for 99% of the time in movies, it's a great face, it's a great look, he's a great actor, but it has no emotional change at all, except in this bit. And I find it tremendously moving to watch. Not only are these chimes so effective, but what happens is when he hears the second chiming taking place and he realises, shit, you've got the other. He reaches into his pocket and it's just the chain because the watch has been taken. Very careless of you, old man, says Manco. And but if you look at his face, those flinty eyes which just gleam with cold, precision and heartlessness, they break for a second. They break. He picks that and he looks, and there's a look of sort of despair and forlorn and vulnerability. And Lee Van Cleef absolutely nails that bit there. And every time I see it, my heart just lurches. It's just so beautiful a moment, so believable. In a film that's massively OTT and full of ripe performances, this is a moment of genuine humanity. And there's a bit of Mickey Mousing. Let's get on to that. Let's get on to that final bit again. More chimes. Let's have more chimes. Very careless of you, old man. And once again, Jean-Marie Volonté will be blown away. But even then he overacts as well. Even when he's dying, he tries to get the gun up again. Oh, almost lost my hat. God damn it. This bit is actually before the duel, where Luigi Pistilli actually says there's only two of them left, he says to Indio, that watch, that clearly means something to you. What's it all about? Because Indio's just at a table waiting for the final showdown with the watch, and he's casually crippling a beetle, hitting the legs, which still trying to crawl around. What a bastard. That's swirly, but that's always when he goes into his psychotic memory of what happened. Isn't it? It's creepy, it's weird, it's eerie. But let's get on to how it actually transpires with the showdown. I know, I'm playing these chimes a lot, but they are so glorious. It's also great when Indio realises, oh shit, Clint's there with the Winchester on him and he's got another watch. Indio just clicks shut his watch and he just goes, because his game has been taken out of his hands again. He's been outwitted again. It's like, this film ups the violence, ups the scale, the scope, the budget. The music has a grander canvas. The film has more locations. The story is bigger, bolder. Leone, Morricone are both hitting the ball at the park. So this is Indio's watch is about to give out, and he's going to go for his gun. Now in the film, the second watch starts straight away, but here we go. And in that great widescreen, and it's Leone's fabulous compositions, Manco steps into shot in the immediate foreground with his Winchester out, holding the pocket watch. So you get the mariachi guitar comes in, castanets. Have I turned that up? And you get the close-ups of the eyes. They're so parodied now, but no one could do. You don't laugh when you see Leone's masterful standoffs. His showdowns. No one can touch him. No one can touch Leone when it comes to this. And the best is yet to come in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. The greatest showdown, the longest showdown in cinematic history. Again, this circular arena. The whitewashed walls. This shanty town. Solo trumpet. Very, very Mexican flavour to it, of course. And yet the theme works for all three of these characters. And the tragedy that links to them together. It's almost in earnest, it's destiny. Castanets and distant drum. It gets to an unbearable level. Boom! Isn't it fantastic? And of course, Clint is the one that gets all the money, because all the money, the gold that's been taken, they've got all that. And all the bounty and all these guys. Cue the great scene of Clint going 600, 900, 1,000, 2,000. And Luigi Pistilli is still alive, he's wounded, and he's hiding behind a wall. And he comes up behind him like that. Then Clint is going, because obviously there's a body missing, turns around, boom, takes him out. The colonel is actually already setting off. Having trouble there, boy? He doesn't sound like that at all. Having trouble there, boy? No, old man. Having trouble with my counting, my adding. It's all right now, though. Yeah. Kilt-Man mangled one of the best lines in the movie there. But hey, incidentally, this gauntlet, some of you might recognise it. Tom Hardy wore this in The Dark Knight Rises. This is Bane's gauntlet. For a while I did cosplay as Bane. Yes, with a shaved head. Yes. And I was a bit bigger as well, a bit beefier. And I've still got the entire costume. That has nothing to do with a few dollars more, or the Dollars Trilogy at all. But, I just thought that would be ideal as Manco's gunslinging gauntlet. Oh, listen to this. Remember, a lot of films would have a pop record as well. Well, listen to this. This is the main theme. Well, this is the secondary theme. The more tragic theme, not the main title. telling the story, really. This is like Indio's sort of story.
First, my father's loving care that made me safe from harm. First, the day I grew to be a man and learned to love.
I've forgotten who's singing this, to be honest.
First, love that made me learn to hate all
So this would be released. It's not in the film. And there's an English version and an Italian version of this song. It's called An Eye for an Eye, or in Italian, Occhio per Occhio.
Curse, happy man on earth with a curse like me.
Isn't it brilliant? It's crooning, and yet it's a cruel coon, a cruel croon. People ask me about these videos. They go, oh, you must script them. Do you reckon? Honestly, I'm flying by the seat of my kilt on a wing and a prayer, and a slug of the good stuff. Really big, it's operatic, it's blasted out, isn't it? It's plaintive, it's hard, it's like, it's not on your sleeve, it's in your hand, you go like, I tear myself apart for this song and for you. A world of darkness, night and day. Like that. Folks, my timer is about to go kaputski. So, with that in mind, I'm going to turn all that stuff off, and I'm going to say we'll be back with part 3, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, very shortly. In the meantime, keep it safe, keep it Celtic, keep it kilted. Have fun, y'all. Watch out down south of the border, and don't smoke marijuana, because apparently it makes you psychotic. I'm going to see y'all later. Tartan poncho available separately.